Hello everyone. This session is mainly for parents, and this is another series on creating awareness about child sexual abuse. Most of the time we connect child sexual abuse to trauma, surely. We also connect it to pain. We also connect it to suffering. But here today I am going to speak to you about instances and situations when your child could have been sexually abused and yet the child doesn't report any suffering or pain, as a result of which many a time this experience that your child has had may unfortunately slip your notice. So when does abuse reflect to the child as a pleasure instead of a pain? This is relevant with regarding adolescents, but at the same time the same situation does happen even with young children. So when I say that it is more of a pleasure and not a pain for children, what I mean is this entire experience of abuse will be introduced by the perpetrator as though it is a pleasurable activity. For example, we very often hear that the perpetrator would introduce it to the child in the form of a game. So in the beginning, many a time when it is fondling or touching the private part or just, feeling the private parts on each other, the whole thing can look very exciting, adventurous and very new to children. And it can give a kind of a tingling experience, and it's always a kind of an excitement for young children if they have been told to keep something as a secret. So when a perpetrator introduces this kind of an experience to the child, firstly they say it is a game. Okay, that excites the child. Secondly, they say it is a secret. That further excites the child. And thirdly, there is no activity that actually causes an immediate physical pain. They may be into fondling, they may be into touching, they may be into feeling and continuously engaging the child into some kind of a story or some kind of a chatting, as a result of which the child doesn't feel that it is a pain. There won't be any pain. So the child starts enjoying this activity, and many a times it is after many years when the child is introduced to child sexual abuse as a topic, as an education from the school or from parents, that is when it hits them and says, oh my God, way back then I was abused by so and so and I never brought it out to my parents. I have had many youngsters come to me in my clinic with these kind of experiences, and they share how they feel guilty of having even enjoyed it. So then there is a lot of work to be done with these youngsters. 1, help them overcome the guilt. 2, help them to come out of the trauma. 3, help them to be more educated about what all comes into child sexual abuse. Now, coming next to the adolescents. Now, we hear very often about teenagers indulging in sexual activities, sexual intimacy. Teenage pregnancy is also becoming quite common. Now, all of these things, when the child is below 18, all of these things are considered under child sexual abuse. Unfortunately, you would hear that many of these kind of activities amongst teenagers will come under what they consider as consent. Right? So here again, they are introduced to sexual activity either by their own peers or by some adult. In either case, this does comes under child sexual abuse. So when they are in their teens and they have crossed their puberty, the girls have attained menarche, the boys are also in crossed puberty. Now, as a result of which, when they are introduced to any kind of sexual intimacy, this definitely excites them. This makes them feel, oh, I'm getting into some space which has been forbidden by my parents, which I cannot talk with my parents, and they just go berserk there, and they feel so excited, they feel very adventurous, and they end up indulging in this activity again and again. Now, first and foremost, most parents treat it as something which is immoral. So with regarding to teenagers and adolescents, when you come across such adolescents who have probably indulged in sexual intimacy or into sexual activity, first and foremost, parents need to understand that this has to be considered as a child sexual abuse. They need to, in the first place, sit the child down and very firmly but lovingly educate the child about these different forms of child sexual abuse, which need not necessarily be traumatic while the child is experiencing the abuse, and it needs to be clarified to them as to how it comes under abuse. If necessary, you may have to meet up with a professional who will be able to help you to handle it. With regarding small children, many a times you may not even know that they have gone through this kind of an activity, but when they come up, as they grow up as adults or young adults or adolescents, and they come and share this with you, it's instead of why did you not tell me then, or so you enjoyed it, how could you, we need to say yes, I understand, probably this is what you felt then, but now is the time for you to understand that you have been a survivor of an abusive activity and you need to be able to heal out of it. So it is very important for us to address child sexual abuse in these spaces which are not openly discussed, which are not brought out into our circles for deliberations, for attention, or for being provided any kind of intervention. I hope this session is useful for parents who are having young children as well as parents who have adolescents. If you have any further queries, you are most welcome to get in touch with me through messages or through my email IDs. Okay, thank you.